women will sacrifice their family for happiness, and men will sacrifice their happiness for family. We know that women initiate 80% of the divorces based on not feeling,
What's
happy.
up, everybody? My name is Mel, and welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. Here at Life Coaching by Mel, we speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get each and every one of my videos. Hit that like button for me. Hit me in that comment section. Today is going to be an invigorating conversation that I know you want to contribute to. And be sure to share this with at least one person. Let's get into today's topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an amazing conversation for you today. I recently came into contact with a lot of people, a group of people actually I was referring to and speaking with them. It was a bunch of millennials, and they was talking about how fearful they are of marriage, fearful of the outcome of what can happen. They say the inevitable outcome would be divorce or some type of settlement they have to go through where they lose half of their income. We got to have that conversation today. Where did that fear come from? I want to ask, for individuals from the next generation, what responsibility, what ownership? Let's get to that resolution. Let's get to that opinion, whatever the case may be. We're going to have the discussion. What is the true nature of the cause of this fear? Let's talk about that. I have four great individuals here. We're going to introduce them, allow them to introduce themselves, starting from my left. We're going to start with Bridget.
Hello, I am Bridget Cunningham. From Atlanta, Georgia. Do you want my opinion on that? What do you want?
And I do apologize. I did not introduce the first question. Sorry about that. Do you believe that the nuclear family is the ideal path for the Black family?
I think it's the ideal path for some people. Some Black families. Honestly, I don't think it's for everybody. I don't. It would be great if everybody had the white picket fence and, the dog and the 3 kids and the husband and the wife. But I really don't think that it's meant for everybody. Like me, I don't have to remarry. I could have a life partner and be good with that. We don't necessarily have to be married, but that's just me and where I am right now and with my experiences in life.
Thank you for that. Troy.
Hi, my name is Troy Knowles. I currently reside in Dallas, Texas. I am the father of 3 amazing adult children. I like to say I'm on the 4th level of empty nesting, and I'll explain that later if opportunity comes up, because there's levels to empty nesting. Me and my wife Tamara have been together for probably, right at 35 years. Shouldn't say probably. We've been married for 30 of those. My answer to the nuclear family, I have a different definition of nuclear family. I think I enjoy my family. It's a source of pride for me. I've started 3 multi-million-dollar businesses. I've been rich, poor, and settled right back kind of in the middle, where I didn't build my life around money. I built my life around experiences like I'm having here, relationships like I have with you, Mel. But when I think about the nuclear family, I think the nuclear family was actually a mistake or a misstep. And we miss our extended family. When I grew up, I had no less than 30 to 40 cousins who lived within close proximity to me, aunts, and even non-family members who are still considered family, who were people who live right next door to us or 2 streets down. And I feel like once we started going into the nuclear family, we pulled away and we broke the community by separating into blocks of 5 people instead of blocks of 50 people.
Sound like something we got to unpack even more going forward. Sharitha.
Well, you know me with this muting. I have to echo what Bridget said. I think it depends. For those that I guess are more elevated, mature, and secure with themselves, maybe, but for the rest, the nuclear family does not work well. And, I think we've all seen it on display all the time. Now, allow me to expound on that. I know we all kind of fall short on this one, not just Black people, because we are really ignorant about ourselves. We don't even understand our own nature. Women don't understand male nature, and men don't fully understand female nature, right? And so we think we do. And to me, I think religion is at the center of it all. Religion sold us a fantasy, an ideology that women and men naturally belong together, when on full. And by the way, I'm sorry, I have to back up because my name is Sharitha and I am married. I have 3 sons, but my youngest is with my husband now. So anyway, religion sold us, I think, a fantasy, right? That we're naturally supposed to be together, when on full display, we see quite the opposite playing out. We see just how inverse and antagonistic our relationships and marriages really are. Yet we remain in denial, So most of them are like trying to fit a square peg into a circle. We have to, those of us who are married or have been married, we remember what that's like. We have to work extremely hard to make that work. And even then, sometimes it's not good enough. So we have to stop and ask ourselves, why is that? And that's the hard part. People don't want to ask that question. Why is that? But I love digging deep into why.
And DeMarcus.
Hello, everyone. My name is DeMarcus Williams. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I guess my opinion of this is going to be, this is kind of a great conversation because I guess everybody's going to have their special points of view. I've been married 27 years, happily married. I am a proponent of, I guess, what you would call the standard nuclear family, because that's what, I'm currently a part of, what I grew up around. So I do support it, and I think it's a positive thing. I really don't have a lot of negativity from my point of view. I think that's where this is going to get great, because you're going to get to hear perspectives from different situations as to why people feel the way they feel. So, but just for starters, that's my intro. So good to see you all tonight. And I do apologize. I am out of town, so I'm going to try to hang in there for the whole thing, but I'm here.
And I appreciate you, brother. Now, anybody have,
doubt.
For what's been said so far, anybody have any response?
You know what? It's interesting. I've heard and understand that, the divorce rate. I've heard a couple of stats that surprised me, or not surprised me, but a full 90% of relationships started prior to 30 in, right? And as a man who's been married 30 years, and I see DeMarcus is married 27, I don't understand what happily married is. I'm married, meaning, there's times where we're not speaking to each other. There's times where we're, holding hands and skipping. Well, one of my knees won't allow me to skip, but we be trying to skip, right? And it is the full spectrum that we're dealing with. So I'm in year 30, and I told you on the last podcast, I don't give advice because I've never been in a 30th year of a relationship. But the things that we're dealing with in year 30 are way different than what we dealt with in year 5, 10, maybe 15 or 20. And so I like to tell people we're on our 4th marriage. And it's because we're totally different people in totally different spaces. So I don't disagree with Bridget and Sharitha about, once you get to a point, do we really, need to be in this thing? Because the way society is set up right now, the things that I had to access to, or my wife had to get access to, you needed to be married. Those things are available without the lifelong commitment. And furthermore, and I hate that I'm talking this long, most of us who are born in the 60s and 70s have never seen a healthy example of what a relationship was, right? A healthy marriage. We've seen, my parents have been married 55 years. I feel like they should have got a divorce in 1983, right? But the advice that they give at 70 and or 75 and 83 is oh, you should just do this and do this and do that. And the information is based in a time when women didn't have the option to be considered full humans. I'm kind of going back to that too, but they don't have autonomy over their own lives. And so to get out of their father's house, they had to go to their husband's lives. And so I don't think we should look that far back to say, oh, what happened to the good old days? When we know grandpa had a family across town and grandma, 3 of them kids wasn't his. But he raised them like they were.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Well, I would also throw in there, and that's a good point, Troy. And this is why I feel like we're going to learn a lot about some backgrounds today, because I know that point of view that you just said. I know people that live that point of view. I'm different. I mean, every time when I say that, a lot of times people don't. Oh, no. But I did grow up in a super healthy home where it was surrounded by love all the time. Dad was home every day. Mama was smiling and cooking, and they was holding hands and hugged up. And I adopted that as
Yeah.
I moved through life. And that's why, not only me wrong, me and my wife, we've been married 27 years. It hasn't been beautiful every single day. So I don't want to give that ridiculous impression that it's a perfect thing every day. But if I'm judging happiness, yes, me and my wife are extremely happy together. You know what I mean? As we've navigated through, the ups and downs of life and marriage. And as we are at this point right now, I couldn't ask for nothing more. But I think, again, we all going to learn a little bit about what we experienced growing up, what we saw, how we handle different things, and that's what shapes our opinion of what we feel about this thing today.
Can I say one more thing to that? And I
Of
don't mean to
course.
dominate this conversation, but you said something that was opposite of what you said right after that, right? And I'm gonna say this: you've seen your mom and dad doing this, that, and the other. Now we know the previous generation, they were taught, or they taught us, you don't argue in front of the kids. You don't disagree in front of the kids. We have to be on one accord, right?
Sure.
And so once, my wife comes from 2 parents who were married a long time, and me as well. And we started down that path. Well, we have to be in agreement. We have to be a united front for the kids, right? But what I've come to learn is when the children don't see conflict within the marriage and how conflict is resolved, they leave and don't know how to resolve it in their personal relationship. So we argued in front of our kids. We fought fair. We had rules that we fought within. But I had the same experience as you growing up, but I didn't find out until I was 40 that the major disagreements or the major points of contention that my parents had that I didn't know how to do with my wife, because I didn't see. When I say healthy, like from what you described, you say happy, I say healthy, right?
Okay.
And so your kids are going to understand. I remember one time my wife didn't speak to me for 2 or 3 days for something that I did or didn't do. I forgot, right? But she texted me and said she had a flat over off Harry Hines, and I live downtown. And she hadn't spoke to me in a couple of days. So I got up, I went and I fixed her flat. I tapped her bumper and she pulled off, right? And so right there, the commitment was there, the love was there, but we just weren't on the same page. And if I would have been in my feelings, I would have said, well, shit, call AAA. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so in that example, I still covered and protected my wife. Whatever she was mad about for, I don't remember. She might have been right. She might not have been right. But I didn't break up the whole thing because because we weren't speaking.
Of course
At that
not.
time. I'm sorry, ladies. We just
Oh
dominated.
no, that actually
Yeah.
no, that was a good point that you brought up. It really was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. And you guys kind of hit on this next question, so let's dive right into it. The blacks overall struggle with between 72 to 80% of unwed mothers rate. This is a 180-degree shift from the less than a quarter of black infants born to unmarried mothers in the 1960s. Without saying the phrase "white people" or any adjacent phrase, who is most responsible for this shift? We're going to start with Sharitha on this.
You're gonna start with me, huh? Who is the most responsible for the shift? Yeah, I can't really. I guess I have to back up a little bit. This increase in unwed mothers, I feel was a gradual one. Sorry, you guys hear my son in the background. Back when our parents were born, probably the 40s and 50s and whatnot, women's choices were extremely limited. As I don't know if that was you, Troy, that said that, but I look, for instance, like my grandmother, they had to have a man in the household, as you said, or it was the government that would take care of them. There was also a culture that heavily pushed and influenced women to be made honest, right? So women married or they stayed in relationships, even extremely abusive ones. And, so a lot of times when we hear of couples that have been married for like 50, 60 years, that was mostly because the wife really didn't have much choice, as you've already said. By the time women's lib came on the scene, a good bit of those wives didn't even have a bank account in their own name. They couldn't even, yeah, they couldn't even get credit cards or loans or anything. It all just seemed so foreign to them initially when they could. But now when we fast forward to when the Gen Xers were born, two major things happened during this time frame. Women or our mothers were starting to enter the workplace, right? They were then slowly allowed to have their some form or semblance of independence, right? Bank accounts and credit cards and get loans and all that good shit, right? And so women were finally beginning to experience some level of independence, and they liked it. Now, number two, our men and our fathers and so forth, they had been sent off to fight senseless wars. So women were having to hold it down on their own. And when a good bit of our men returned from deployment, and a lot of them had PTSD and they got hooked on all kinds of drugs, and which opened the door to abuse and abandonment. And we're just talking all levels of dysfunction and discord in the household. And hence the government, they became our financial caretakers, right? And we all know what happened next. So the government and society at large was like, okay, ladies, I see you. You proved you can hold it down. You got your village to help you with the kids, your aunties and them and everybody, is making it work. So when you let's just fast forward the speed 2 times, right? To the Gen X as adults. We're now adults and grown. By this time, we had been long experiencing broken households. Women had the head of household title or thing on lock, whether she was an educated woman, a working woman, or just sheer poverty living in the projects. And I've seen them all, okay, growing up and through the years. But I'm going to stop right there because I know we're going to dive deeper into why a lot more Gen Xers and beyond are not too phased anymore by the nuclear family. So I'll just pause.
Hey, hurry up.
Gotcha. DeMarcus.
Well, that was excellent points there that you made, and I definitely think that's an excellent point of view coming from a woman. I'm not going to try to speak from a woman's point of view on that because that question is great to ask. Why come there's unwed women? If I'm understanding that was the question correct, was that right, Mel?
Well, who's most responsible for this
Who's most
increase?
responsible? Yeah, I'm gonna say to some degree just the changing of the times, which incorporates a lot of what the young lady mentioned, and also just the shift in women, men, whatever, thinking that they can just do it on their own, not feeling like they have to do it. Getting married, of course, is a choice. You know what I mean? It's always going to be a choice to do. So the baby boomer time, that was kind of like what was expected to get married, and we all know the story about that. And as we continue to shift in times, and which is going to be different for millennials too, after our time, who knows what their situation is going to be. But as we continue to shift in time, you just start getting to a place to where people figure out, no, we don't necessarily have to do that. You know, I can make my own money. I can pay my own bills. I can live my own life. I can make my own decisions. You know, it's just a natural growth pattern. And then, you know, you have that choice to make. And I can't put my finger on one particular thing as the reason of it, but I would just probably lean on more just the changing of the times and having those additional options to make those different decisions.
Good stuff, Bridget.
So the question was, who's responsible for?
Yeah, who would you say is most responsible for that increase in out of wedlock births from the 60s?
I think each individual, each person is responsible for themselves. You know, I want to bring up I don't know if you guys pay attention to the Cam Newton story, him and his girlfriend, fiance, whatever she is to him, and the Nick Cannon situation, how he has, I can't remember, 7 or 8 kids by about 6 different women.
Too many to count and keep up with.
Right. But those women made a decision to have children, not with the fathers, but they're all happy. I don't necessarily think it's they're all necessarily happy because of the money, because I know I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, but I don't think it's the end result. I don't think that's the only thing. But I do feel like everybody is responsible, and as long as everybody is happy and not causing problems, I don't disagree with it. As long as, because everybody is not going to be able to live their life the same. Everybody's not going to be happy the same, but everybody needs to take accountability for their decisions and, raise the children right, regardless if it's in a household that's not traditional or not. As long as the children are being loved, I feel like that's the most important thing.
All right, Troy.
Facts.
You know, it's interesting that we prioritize happiness over function and form and development, right? And I seen a stat. I heard someone said. I heard someone say, women will sacrifice their family for happiness, and men will sacrifice their happiness for family. And so what I see is, we know that women initiate 80% of the divorces based on not feeling, happy. And I think, being a married man, you need that balance of, when we say raise children right, what's right? Like, they need their mom's nurturing and things of that nature, but they also need the discipline and structure that normally the father provides. It's funny because it was kind of reversed in my family. But I don't blame anyone in particular for the rise of single parent homes. Back to what I was saying, if a couple was unmarried, their grandmother normally lived very close by, their grandfather, their aunts, their uncles. And so there was not a lack of characters or people in the community or in the house that on the street that could help. But I'm gonna tell you what I think is the culprit for all of it. I want y'all to go look at a movie and a report. The movie I want to assign, if I can assign, is called the Pruitt-Igoe myth. It's about the first housing projects in St. Louis, where men who were from the South, who were disenfranchised, who couldn't find jobs, moved up north. And then housing was made available to women and children as long as there was no man present. And men made decisions. And I seen this man who was probably about 40 looking for work and just was crying, saying, I have to leave my family in order for my family to survive. Right. And that gets painted over. And so what people would do is they would come in and look for men's size shoes. And if there was a man at the house, you lost your housing. And to me, a woman is going to protect those children and that home, right? So watch that. But number two, this report blew me away, and Mel, I'm gonna get it to you. The number one thing that caused the rise in single parent homes was the birth control pill. Okay, because women would normally limit sexual access to men who were of a particular quality because of the risk of getting pregnant, right? And once women were not burdened by laying down with someone and getting up pregnant, they decided that they would compete. And what they're competing for is normally the same man, right? Before, when I was a young man, to get sexual access to a woman, you probably had to hold her hand for 6 months. You had to walk with her. You had to sing R&B songs, and you had to prove that you were worth her laying down with. Now, a woman to give you her body and a baby before you know her middle name, right? But I blame men. I blame men for all unwanted pregnancies because they have the fluid to make it happen, right? That's just me because I'm a man. I hold men accountable. So I don't blame women, but I do blame the societal change and like birth control.
Gotcha. Troy, you find a creative way to mention white people, but didn't say it directly. But no, I'm just joking with you.
Birth control for white folks.
Any responses to anyone's take there?
Yeah, I just want to Troy, that was a very interesting point and about the women and what's the word? Is it chastity? I don't know. I can't remember the word, but
women held other women accountable. They were like, "Nah, girl, don't." But then once they took away that risk of getting pregnant, now women were like, "Hey, you know, it was a commercial saying when the banks compete, the people win." You know
But you know what though, I do want to say it, like you said. I mean, it's really both have responsibility.
Yeah.
Because especially in this day and age, I think it was a little different when women didn't have quite as much liberation and rights and things like that. But I have to put the responsibility on myself and my fellow sisters. I cannot ignore that. We have got to learn to choose better. And that starts with our own mental health and how we govern ourselves and our mind, and that could be spiritually, financially, you know, whatever. We got to do better and take care of ourselves. We are in a position now where we don't need to have a man, I guess, you know, you could say, but there's still a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And it's in such high numbers now. And I think we're going to get to it, so I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but I just want to say, it's not just the men's responsibility. I think we both share a responsibility, but at the end of the day, in this day and age, I think women have more accountability than men.
Yeah, I agree.
Good stuff.
I have two daughters, right? So they're older. And when they were younger, I was telling them, hey, if two lay down, you're the only one who can get up with a baby. You know what I'm saying? And back to what I was talking about, birth control, right? Before, birth control was not giving people sexual access, right? And women held women accountable for that. And, you know, so I'm not, like I say, I'm not blaming women. I'm blaming, like DeMarcus said, the societal change. And the question I'll ask, if I can ask a question, is what is the benefit of marriage today compared to what it was 30, 50, or 70 years ago? You can have everything you want inside of a marriage and not have the government in your business, because marriage is a contract.
Yep.
And a lot of people think it's a contract.
It's a partnership.
It's a business.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
It's a business. And if you don't think it's a business, get a divorce. Right. Then you'll find out.
They should put LLC at the end on the nuptials when people get married.
Yep.
Bridget, you had something you wanted to say a moment ago.
I was going to say, I agree with everything Sharitha said, except I do need a man, girl. I need and want a man, okay?
Well, the thing is, women, we are resource driven. Like at the end of the day, we're resource driven. And when you step out of that, needing a man and wanting is two different things. And I think sometimes, what I'm hearing from you though is you want to have a man in your life, but you at the base layer you don't need one. But there are some women in positions that they actually, I need this man because I can't cut it for myself for whatever reason.
No, that's not what.
So right. That's why I said for you, it's like, okay, I want you're at that place where you're like, hey, I'm good, either way when it comes to that and finances and resources, but you just want to have the companionship of a man and things like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, we slipping down a slope here where, now the next generation is like, I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with it at all.
Let's go down that path because, and I'm gonna let Troy actually answer this question because you guys went right into a perfect segue to our next question. The commonly used phrase by Gen Xers, y'all started this, is my opinion. By Black women, I don't need a man. I'm independent, single by choice. I'm waiting on God. Troy, you started off here. What impact have these phrases had on the Black community or the Black family?
It's let me just tell you the impact it's had on me. I was a traditional husband. My wife didn't work the first 20 years of our marriage. I'm sorry. She worked up until, we got married. The baby came. We homeschooled the kids, right? But when my son, the one you met, is the baby, he's 26. When he got in 11th grade, I looked at my wife and I said, look, and I'm very blunt. And I have to be blunt because that's how people understand. I said, you have a crazy wild card husband and your kids are out of the house. You need your own identity because I don't know if you want to be here or you have to be here. Because in a relationship, to me, want is higher than need. You need me. You can't upset me. So I need you. We need to start working on what your career is going to be so you can have an identity outside of me and the kids, because the kids is going and I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. And so she decided she wanted to be a realtor. So we put her in school and she's, took about 2 or 3 years to really get going with our support, my support. And now she earns more than I do. Right. Because I need to know, because I don't need you. I could cook, I could clean, I could do everything. I got a vasectomy. She post, ain't no babies coming out of there. Right. My wife in her 60s. Right. I married an older woman. She's a boomer. I'm a Gen X. That's a whole nother discussion. But I wanted to be in position to be wanted and not needed. And it changed the dynamic of our relationship. And once my wife got to the point where she was making just much or more money than me, it changed our relationship, took the pressure off of me, and it changed the relationship with our daughters. Because our daughters looked at our marriage and say, I don't want to depend on dad, or I don't want to have to go to my husband and say, hey, can I get $100 out the bank to do this? And my daughters and my wife start taking girls' trips, and they start doing things because she didn't necessarily need my approval, which I was always fair, but I didn't want someone to be a dependent. I didn't need a wife. I had 3 dependents. They were children. I didn't want my wife to be a dependent. I need her to be an independent thinker. I need to give some gifts sometime. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is for me, and it didn't come out of the money I earned. Oh, this is cool. And so I think, no, I don't think women do need a man. But if you say that, you start to believe the words that come out of your mouth. But to me, it's better to be desired. I don't want to be needed. I want to be desired. And that's why I believe we've survived what DeMarcus is about to go through, which is once the kids leave and once the need to work together, like, do you know each other? Because we're back to square one. We're dating again. You know what I'm saying? We had to relearn each other. And that I don't need a man has really put us on a path to a non-committal, right? Not being committed. And so at the same time, I'm saying something different. I'd rather be wanted than needed.
Good stuff. And Troy, thank you for coming, brother. I know you got to dip out. We appreciate you,
yeah,
man.
As a father, my daughter just texted me and said she needed something. And so even though my daughter's 30, right? Uh, and I want to say this since I'm leaving. I am a husband, right? Uh, and meaning I'm a father, I'm a husband, and uh, I will always defer to those things. And but it's a lifelong commitment that I've made. It has nothing to do with my wife. It has nothing to do with my children. Because what happens is when it don't feel good, then I wouldn't do it. But this is a commitment that I made. So I'm not looking for the accolades or for a pat on the back from them to do what I promised myself I'll do. Last thing I'll say, Mel, because we talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I can't, people ask me, what about being unfaithful? Do you cheat on your wife? No, I can't cheat on my wife. I don't want to cheat on myself because I'm the one who made the promise. So if I go outside of my marriage, it has nothing to do with her. It was that I cheated myself. And so once I said, okay, Troy, I love you, I love myself, and I made this commitment, I'm gonna hold myself accountable to it. It has nothing to do with her. If I can't control myself, what can I control? So
Good stuff. Good stuff. We appreciate you, brother.
all right,
Enjoy
my
your
man.
evening.
All right,
Yes,
Troy.
sir.
Take care.
DeMarcus, we'll come to you on that, brother.
Well, it's ironic Troy had to go because I wanted to kind of, go with him a little bit on what he was mentioning. And it's not that I don't agree with sometimes you lose yourself with your kids because I know I got friends that's in those situations where the marriage basically became all about the kids. When the kids finally grew up and they left, then they didn't even know each other because they had spent so much time pouring into the kids, kind of as a buffer to pretty much keep from dealing with each other. You know what I mean? However, my situation is not like that. You know what I mean? So again, from my perspective, me and my wife, we never did lose ourselves, despite raising our kids. They're all grown now, but we didn't have that issue when they finally got grown and they get independent. Now we got to try to learn ourselves again because we never lost each other. You know what I mean? We stayed together, stayed committed through it all, raising the kids. Like I mentioned again, first to say, my marriage is not perfect. I know sometimes it's gonna come across as, oh, every time he speaks, he's talking like it's all good. It is all good, but it's not perfect. But I'm one of those rare people that I am in a happy, healthy, good relationship, just a normal relationship. Do she get mad at me when I leave the toilet seat up? Of course. Do I get mad at her when I get the credit card bill and Amazon on there 500 times? Of course. But for the most part, it's all good. So again, I'm in it for both. I want it to be healthy. I want to be happy. Above all, I want her to be happy, and that's what we strive to do. So I know I probably got off a topic a little bit, but
No,
to
you
get back to
good.
the question, um, I'm trying to put this in perspective. I don't need a man. I think the quick answer to that, because I've spoken enough, is it's true. Nobody needs a man. Nobody really needs a woman if you look at it black and white like that. But if we choose to be with a woman and a woman chooses to be with a man, and it's not always just a business decision. It could be just simply they love each other and they like being with each other and they decided to tackle life together and that's what they did. So and I'll cut off there because I'm rambling.
No, no, you good. You
That
spot
was
on,
good.
actually.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
sir.
was good.
Bridget, coming to you on that. What impact has this had on the Black family?
What saying that? Wait a minute. Give me the question again because we got off. We didn't went left, right,
My fault.
and there.
No, you good, brother. For any them Gen X women, you know how y'all do. You were just talking about it there.
Right. We don't
Y'all use those phrases. I don't need a man. I'm independent, single by choice. I'm waiting on the Lord.
Yeah.
What impact have those phrases had on the Black family?
Well, yeah, I think it has a huge effect on the Black family because the daughters are going to listen to what their mothers are saying, and if they grew up in a single household and their mother did fine by raising them without dad, then they're gonna feel like, oh, I'm just gonna get my career and I don't need a man. I can go ahead and have a baby and be a single mom too, and I'll be all right. I don't need a man. So yeah, I think a lot of people follow what they see instead of having their own mind and doing what they really want to do. That's
Nice.
how I feel.
Sharitha.
Hey, okay, wow, yeah. I'm pretty much probably going to be a echo chamber here, but I think, just when you hear women speak like that, especially like, they mean it. And here's why. And they say, I don't need a man, I don't want my own personal experience. And I'm currently in my second marriage, and I will say this, if I'm being honest here, hindsight is 2020. Now, let me preface everything I'm about to tell you with I was not in abusive marriages. Okay. So I just want to state that I repeat, I was not abused in my marriages. And yet I was still the happiest when I was single or in between marriages. And there was quite a gap before I remarried. I was happily single for 8 years before I married my husband now. And he's a very sweet and attentive man. We get along for the most part. But I know you might be like, well, why, Sharitha, why did you get married again? It wasn't because I needed to. I had my own money, business, car, whatever. When I met him, I was doing okay. Even when I was struggling and I wasn't doing okay, I was okay. But there's something about programming and falling in love, which creates a euphoria that makes you stupid. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but that's exactly what happened. You get to know, man, you get all giggly and bright-eyed and hot in the pants. And having sexual relations too means, you have to be responsible. We've all said that here tonight. So you just, can't be out here willy-nilly. And next thing you know, I'm saying I do again. So I felt like I put myself back into a state of dependence, right? I threw caution to the wind, locked myself down, and it made me miserable, you guys. It really did. Now, I'm miserable, not like, oh my God, I want to pluck my eyes out, but us Gen X women like that, we can make moves and flow how we want to and when we want to. And when that changes, oh my gosh, it hits hard. So now let me be clear. I'm not talking about bottom feeders and desperate low vibrational women. I'm talking about elevated women here. I'm referring to women who know themselves and are secure and know what they want. And they're tired of, and this is real talk here, they're tired of men trying to use or manipulate them and control them. And that, I'm not saying all men, so I just want to be clear on that. But I do think that that is a big thing that I see and observed and have experienced myself before. We want to be free. We want to be allowed. And I think Troy, I know he's gone, but I really commend him as well for what he said. He saw his wife and he said, hey, you need to have your own identity. You need to be able to do something and take care of yourself, or, if he's not available or not around or not able to, or just for whatever reason. So I really admire that, because that's what I mean by an elevated man. Not many men are like that. I think you got the needles in the haystack on here tonight, Mel.
For sure. I know how to pick them. No, I'm just playing. Any responses to what anyone said?
I'm just gonna say, just kind of backing off of Sharitha. That is why I'm such a free person. And that's why I feel like this is why I'm single, because I feel like I'm a great person. But anyway, I have to have a certain type of man. He has to be a free thinker. Like, I love what Troy said. I love that. A lot of men will not say, hey, you need to have your own identity outside of this marriage, outside of me. A lot of men want you to just be, no, I have to have my own identity. I want my man to have his own identity. I just wanted to say that's the type of man I need.
Yeah. I think, DeMarcus, if you're talking, I think DeMarcus, I think you muted yourself.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll just say that's 100%. Bridget, Sharitha, that's how it should be. You should be, having your own identity and and being able to control your own destiny, so to speak. That's a perfect analogy to what I think would lead to more happiness. That freedom to be yourself. Here I go again on my perfect life here, but yeah, me and my wife, we definitely free thinkers, and I love that about her. She has her own voice, and that's one of the things I love the most about her, is that the fact that she don't mind putting me in my place if I need to be put in my place. You know what I mean? So we try to keep it 50-50 from the beginning to where we are now, and hopefully beyond. So I definitely commend you both for having that ideology of wanting to be, independent and wanting a man to recognize that. I think that's awesome.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mel. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for checking things out here. Oftentimes we go on people's pages and are like, man, what is going on here? What is the purpose of this channel? So let me be clear. The purpose of this channel is to speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And when I say truth, I'm not saying my truth, not your truth, but the Lord's truth. All about the word, all about the ways and the will of God. What does he have to say about the nuclear family? And I believe the generations of today, whether it be Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever the case may be, I believe now we have a very toxic relationship regarding marriage, regarding family, regarding having children. We're in a toxic dynamic as we speak. And honestly speaking, a lot of the answers that we're looking for in our community, a lot of the cures and a lot of the answers would come from a proper, fulfilled family home. If you go down the line of everyone's individual trauma, there you will find some negligence or some type of issue that they had with their parents. So here on this channel, we address those things head on. We don't place fear in those issues and avoid the topic. We do what Jesus did. And when he said, don't assume that I came for peace, but I came with a sword. I came to turn family members against family members if it means you following me. If you have to cut them off, if you have to address them and have arguments for you to follow me, so be it. And I think at this point in our society, we're at the so be it stage. So here at Life Coaching by Mel, I'm all about bringing healing to that. And the number one way to do that is have honest conversations. So if that's something you like, that's something you're into, that's something you really want to be a part of, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you think about everything. I do my best to respond as often as I can. I want to hear from you guys. This is not about me. It's about healing our nation, healing our states, healing our cities, healing our community, healing our homes. Love you guys. Take care.
Let's go.